Evan Hale walked slowly through the glowing forest, his boots pressing gently on the soft blue moss. He was alone on his survey route, but he never felt unsafe on this world. The planet Lumeris 4 was peaceful, full of gentle creatures and shining plants that lit the night like small lanterns. The air felt calm, and the breeze carried a sweet smell that always relaxed him. This was his 6th month working as an explorer for the Human Alliance, and he liked this job more than anything he had done before. As he walked deeper into the trees, he noticed the light around him slowly growing brighter. The plant leaves collected energy from the planet's soft storms, and the glow increased whenever a weather shift was near. Evan looked up, seeing clouds forming in the sky. They were harmless energy clouds, but they made loud sounds that could scare small animals. He checked his scanner out of habit, even though he knew there was no danger at all. The device beeped softly, showing the incoming storm, but nothing else. He continued walking until he heard something unusual. A small sound. A soft cry. Almost like someone quietly calling for help. Evan stopped and listened carefully. The sound came again, but this time it was closer and a little louder. It did not sound like any animal he knew. It sounded like a child. His heart tightened. He turned toward the sound and began walking quickly, weaving around the tall, glowing plants. The crying grew stronger. Evan pushed aside a wide leaf and saw a small shape curled up near the roots of a large tree. The little figure was shaking, covering its head with tiny glowing hands. Evan moved carefully, not wanting to scare the child even more. When he stepped closer, the small being looked up at him with wide, shining eyes. It was a Lumeri kit, a child from the feline-like species that lived on this world. Her fur was light, silver, soft, and glowing slightly because of the storm energy in the air. She looked very young, maybe only 3 or 4 years old in human terms. She had small, pointed ears, bright violet eyes, and a long tail that wrapped around her legs as she tried to make herself smaller. Evan crouched low to appear less frightening. The kit stared at him, frozen between fear and curiosity. He spoke softly, keeping his voice calm and warm as he said hello. The kit did not understand his words, but his tone made her relax a little. She sniffed the air, looking at him closely, studying the strange, tall creature in front of her. Finally, she blinked slowly, a gesture of trust in Lumeri culture. Evan smiled. He reached into his pack and pulled out a small sealed food bar. He opened it slowly so she could see what he was doing. The kit watched carefully. When he placed the food on the moss in front of her and pushed it a little closer, she sniffed it again. After a few seconds, her tiny glowing fingers reached forward. She picked it up and took a small bite. A soft purring sound escaped her as she realized the food was warm and sweet. Seeing her relax made Evan feel relieved. He gently extended his hand, offering comfort. The kit hesitated, but then placed her small hand on his. Her paw pads felt warm against his skin. She made a little chirping sound, a sign that she accepted him as safe. Evan slowly lifted her into his arms, keeping her close so she would not feel scared. She wrapped her arms around his neck and hid her face in his shoulder as the storm above released a loud rumble. Even though the storm was harmless, the noise was too much for a young kit. Evan rubbed her back gently and whispered that everything was okay. She did not understand the words, but she understood the tone, and that was enough. He returned to his camp with the kit still holding on to him. His small shelter glowed softly inside when he opened it. He took a woven blanket, placed it around her, and set her on his bed so she could rest. She kept looking at him with wide eyes, not wanting him to move too far away. Evan sat beside her, letting her hold his hand so she would not feel alone. After a few minutes, she began to purr again, calm and warm. Evan tapped his communicator and sent a signal to the nearest Lumeri outpost, telling them he had found a lost child. He expected a quick response, but the storm's energy made the signal slow. Still, he knew they would get the message soon. The kit leaned against his arm and eventually fell asleep. Evan watched her small chest rise and fall gently. She looked peaceful now, no longer scared of the storm sounds or the dark forest. He wondered how she got so far from her village. Lumeri children were usually well protected. Perhaps she had wandered away during a festival, or maybe she followed a glowing creature too far and got lost. Either way, she must have been frightened for a long time before he found her. After an hour, the storm softened, and the glowing trees returned to their usual brightness. The door to his shelter opened slightly as the wind moved past, carrying the scent of fresh rain. Evan quietly stood up, careful not to wake the kit, and prepared warm water for her when she woke up. He placed a soft cushion near the bed so she could sit comfortably. He did not know much about Lumeri children, but he wanted her to feel safe. The communicator finally beeped. A voice came through, speaking the Lumeri language, but with a friendly tone. They had received his message and were already searching nearby. Evan stepped outside and signaled with a bright emergency light so they could follow it. Within 30 minutes, he heard footsteps approaching through the forest. A group of Lumeri searchers appeared between the trees. They wore light armor made of woven crystal leaves. Glowing softly, they looked serious until they saw the kit inside the shelter. When she noticed them, she woke up instantly, sat up, and rubbed her eyes. Then she looked at Evan before looking at the searchers. She seemed unsure for a moment, as if she wanted reassurance that she was safe with them. Evan gently nodded to her and smiled again. She relaxed and let the rescuers come closer. One of the searchers stepped inside. He looked surprised to see the child so calm with a human. Usually, Lumeri kits were shy around other species, but this one was sitting close to Evan, tail wrapped around her legs, purring softly. The searcher placed a hand on his chest, bowing in respect. In their culture, saving a child was an act of great honor. They thanked Evan and told him the child's mother was on her way. Evan did not know what a Lumeri mother would say or do, but he hoped she would not misunderstand the situation. He stepped outside again, standing quietly as the forest lights flickered around him. Soon, a group approached quickly, walking with purpose. At the front was a tall Lumeri woman, with flowing silver fur and bright violet eyes, just like the kit. She wore a long, elegant cloak that shimmered with soft blue light. Her presence felt strong and calm at the same time. She was clearly someone important. She entered Evan's camp without hesitation. When the kit saw her, she let out a small cry and hurried toward her mother. The woman knelt down, lifted the child into her arms, and held her tightly. She closed her eyes in deep relief, her hands trembling lightly as she checked her daughter for injuries. She seemed afraid for the first time. The other Lumeri bowed their heads to her. Evan realized she was not just any mother. She was someone with authority, someone respected. The woman finally looked at Evan. Her expression was unreadable at first. She studied him quietly, her eyes moving from his face to his hands, then to the blanket he had wrapped around her daughter. The kit pointed at him and made a soft, chirping sound, as if telling her mother that the human was kind. The mother listened carefully. She touched her daughter's cheek, then looked again at Evan. She stepped closer, her movements calm and graceful. She placed her hand on her chest in their gesture of respect. Evan copied it, hoping he did it correctly. The woman's lips curved slightly, showing approval. Then she spoke in a gentle but strong voice. She thanked him for protecting her child during the storm, saying that such an act meant more to the Lumeri than he could understand. The kit leaned from her mother's arms and reached toward Evan, wanting to touch his hand again. The mother allowed it, surprised but pleased. She seemed puzzled by how quickly her daughter trusted him. Most kits were nervous around new beings, but this one was comfortable with him. Very comfortable. The searchers whispered among themselves. They were impressed. They knew their customs well. A kit trusting a stranger was special. A kit clinging to someone was even more meaningful. The mother listened to everything. She nodded slowly, as if making a decision inside her mind. She touched her daughter's head softly, then looked at Evan with a thoughtful expression. She told him he had done more than just find a lost child. He had given comfort, protection, warmth, and care. For the Lumeri, this was an act that created a bond between families, a bond that carried deep meaning in their traditions. Evan did not fully understand what she meant, but the way she looked at him made him feel something was about to change. Something important, something unexpected. Before leaving, the mother looked at him one last time. Her eyes were calm, but there was a new softness in them. She thanked him again, in a quiet voice, one that felt almost personal. The kit reached toward him as they walked away, chirping sadly at the distance growing between them. Evan stood outside his shelter long after they disappeared into the glowing forest. He felt a strange warmth in his chest. He had only wanted to help a lost child, but now he sensed that this small act had connected him to something far bigger. He did not know that the next day would bring an invitation. And he did not know that the kit's mother, a powerful matriarch, had already decided something unexpected about him. He would learn it soon. Evan woke up the next morning with the soft light of Lumeris foreglowing through the trees. He stretched his arms and stepped outside his small shelter. The forest looked peaceful again. The storm had passed, leaving the air fresh and the plants shining with gentle colors. Evan took a deep breath and smiled a little. He wondered if the kit and her mother had reached their home safely. He hoped the child was not scared anymore. The way she had clung to him kept replaying in his mind. Her tiny glowing hands, her small purring sounds, and her trust made the whole night feel strangely warm. He boiled some water for tea and checked his communicator. No new messages. Maybe the Lumeri did not need anything more from him. Maybe that strange and important moment was already over. Still, for some reason, he kept turning his head whenever he thought he heard footsteps, as if he expected someone to arrive. By noon, he heard movement coming from the forest path. He placed his cup down and walked outside, wondering if it was another patrol team. But the figures approaching were not regular guards. They were dressed in bright woven robes, carrying polished wooden staffs. Their clothes shimmered with small crystals. These were ceremonial robes, not patrol gear. Evan felt confused. He stood still as the group approached. One of them stepped forward and bowed with respect. In a calm voice, he told Evan that the matriarch wished to see him. Evan blinked. The matriarch must be the kit's mother, the tall woman with silver fur and calm violet eyes. He nodded slowly, agreeing to go with them. The group guided him through the glowing forest, walking with light steps. Evan felt nervous, unsure what this visit meant. After a long walk, the trees thinned as they reached a wide open area. A beautiful city rose ahead, built into silver stone hills and tall crystal towers. The buildings were shaped like flowing waves, curving softly in every direction. Light ran along the edges of the structures, giving the city a magical look. Lumeri citizens moved around calmly, carrying baskets, tools, or small glowing stones. They looked peaceful, gentle, and graceful. As Evan entered the city with the ceremonial escorts, many Lumeri paused to look at him with wide eyes. Some whispered softly. It was rare to see a human walking among them, especially escorted with such importance. Evan felt a little embarrassed, unsure what expression to keep. The escorts led him toward a large central building. It had tall silver doors and soft vines hanging like curtains. Inside, the hall glowed like moonlight. At the far end of the hall stood the matriarch. She wore a long robe woven from soft silver threads. Her posture was tall and calm. The kit was standing beside her, playing gently with the end of the robe. When she saw Evan, her eyes brightened, and she ran to him with happy sounds. She held his hand tightly and pressed her head against his arm. The matriarch watched with a soft expression. She did not try to stop her daughter. Instead, she nodded, as if she expected this. Evan touched the kit's head gently. She purred again, making the moment warm. He bowed slightly to the matriarch, hoping to show respect. The matriarch stepped forward and greeted him with her calm voice. She thanked him again for saving her child. But this time, her tone felt deeper. She explained that his actions were more important than any outsider could understand. He had given safety and comfort during a storm. And for the Lumeri, that act held powerful meaning. The bond between a protector and a child was something her people valued greatly. Evan nodded, still unsure why the moment felt so serious. He only did what anyone else would have done. The matriarch seemed to sense his confusion. She asked the escorts to leave the hall so only the three of them remained. The room became quiet, with only the soft hum of glowing crystals surrounding them. She looked at Evan with thoughtful eyes and began to explain their ancient tradition. According to Lumeri custom, whenever a stranger protected a kit during a moment of fear or danger, a connection was formed between families. It did not force anything, but it opened a path for unity, a path for partnership, a path for trust. The elders respected such bonds because they believed kindness was the strongest bridge between different beings. Evan listened carefully, his heart beating faster. He finally understood that this moment was not simple thanks. It was something deeper, something cultural, something special. The matriarch lowered her eyes for a second, as if preparing herself, then looked at him again. She said that she wished to make a strong bond with him, a bond that would unite his life with theirs, a bond that her people respected as a symbol of great trust. Before Evan could speak, the matriarch stepped a little closer. Her voice became softer, almost gentle. She told him she wanted to offer him a place in her family, a shared life, a partnership that joined the protector of her child with the mother of the child. She told him she wished to offer her hand in marriage. She spoke calmly, without pressure, only honesty. She explained that the offer was not a demand. It was a gesture of deep gratitude and deep respect. He could refuse without any shame or consequence. But she wished to ask him, because she saw kindness in him. Kindness stronger than fear. Kindness that her daughter felt immediately. Evan felt his voice catch in his throat. Marriage. He came to return a child. He did not expect this. He looked at the kit who still held his hand. Her small eyes looked up at him with innocent trust. He looked at the matriarch who waited without fear. Her expression was calm but hopeful. She did not try to make him feel pressure. She simply stood with quiet dignity, letting him choose. Evan tried to speak but stopped. He needed a moment. The matriarch nodded and stepped back, giving him space. She even offered him a seat, so he would feel calmer. Evan sat down slowly, still trying to understand everything. The kit climbed onto the cushion beside him and leaned against his arm. Her small presence made him smile. She trusted him so much. She had followed him without fear. She had cried when leaving him. Now she looked comfortable again, as if she belonged near him. After a long silence, Evan looked up and saw the matriarch watching with patient eyes. He asked her a simple question. He wanted to know why she made this offer. She answered honestly. She said she had lived many years as a leader, and she knew how to read the hearts of people. When she saw him holding her child with such care, she felt something shift inside her. She felt admiration, respect, and perhaps something new, something she wanted to explore. She told him she believed that kindness was stronger than fear, and stronger than difference. She believed he could bring peace between their species. She also believed he could bring warmth to her daughter's life, and to hers as well. Evan looked down, touched by her words. He was not used to being spoken of with such trust. No one had ever described him that way before. He breathed deeply and looked at the kid again. She held his fingers tightly, as if she knew something important was happening. He asked what it would mean if he accepted. The matriarch explained with calm detail. He would become part of their family. He would live among them. He would help guide the kit as she grew older. He would share decisions with her. He would be respected by the council and welcomed into every home. He would not lose his human identity. He would become a bridge between humans and Lumeri. He would have a place where he was valued and trusted. Evan felt something warm in his chest. The idea was unexpected but comforting. He had always lived alone, moving from place to place. No family waiting for him. No one who depended on him. But now he saw a small child clinging to him, and a mother standing with hope. He realized that he had found something he never expected. A feeling of belonging. He stood up slowly. The kit looked up at him with wide eyes. The matriarch waited but did not step closer. Evan took a breath and walked forward. He placed his hand on his chest in the Lumeri gesture of respect. The matriarch blinked in surprise. Then, Evan spoke in simple words. He told her he accepted. The matriarch's eyes softened with deep emotion. For the first time, her calm mask broke into a warm smile. She stepped forward, placing her hand gently over his. The kit let out a happy sound and wrapped her arms around both of them. The moment felt soft and bright. The hall around them glowed a little brighter, as if the crystals themselves felt the warmth. The matriarch guided Evan outside where many Lumeri had gathered. They looked curious, confused at first. But when they saw the matriarch holding Evan's arm and the kit happily climbing onto his shoulder, they understood. The elders nodded with approval. Families bowed politely. Children pointed with interest. The bond was official in their hearts. Evan felt shy from the attention. But the kit kept touching his hair, with gentle curiosity, making him laugh. The matriarch walked close beside him, explaining traditions he would soon learn. They showed him a home prepared for them. A soft, glowing place, with woven walls and a gentle warmth. She told him they would decorate it together according to human comfort and Lumeri customs. As the sun set, the city lights glowed like stars. Evan stood on the balcony of the new home, watching the silver forest below. The kit curled up beside him, already comfortable and sleepy. The matriarch stood on his other side, her voice soft as she spoke. She said she believed this new beginning would bring peace and strength to both their worlds. Evan nodded. He felt it too. He never expected his life to change from a simple patrol. He never expected a lost kit to change his future. Yet now, he had a family. He had a place. He had a bond that felt gentle and bright. And as the night settled over the glowing city, Evan knew deep inside that this new chapter was not only beginning for him, it was beginning for all three of them. A mother, a child, and the human who found them. A family shaped by kindness, and a future filled with calm light.